Hello, welcome to another good stream here. I hope my audio is fine. Hope my audio is fine.
After 16 years of
Oh, hey Leroy. Leroy's new here. Audio's good. Oh, perfect. Yeah, I got a new headset. I bought a new headset yesterday. Um, GPGPY. I mean, it fell down. The only thing is like it might do a little retracement. So I mean, I wanted to take a buy here, but the stop was too small. That's the only thing I wanted to take a buy. Actually, you know what? I'm probably gonna let's see if I can execute a small position here. Yeah, probably gonna wait. Um, Let me just confirm one thing. Let me just see if it's really going through to all my channels here. I have two. I have. See if it's really going through. Oh, nice. Pretty good audio. Yeah. So we had this big move down. So I took a. I took an entry. I took an entry right over here. My stop is around. It's like 8 pips is my stop. So let's see here. Actually, you know what? I removed it. I closed it. I'm gonna wait. We will wait because there's no point in making a very emotional decision right now. It just came to the charts basically. So basically, we had this move down. I was anticipating price to break below 132's 360, but coming down to 131,970. But eventually, it went down even further. So when it went down a little further, like this morning, I woke up. I was like, oh wow, okay, why is it dropping then? So, I mean, now when we look left, there's absolutely nothing, no information on the left-hand side, except for the fact that, okay, price may continue down towards, what's this area? 131, 100, 131 even, right? That could be an area where price may continue down till. So let's just extend this all the way here to the right-hand side. All the way to the right hand side. Someone said sells all day. Yeah, that's true. I mean, trend is bearish, but you have to understand it already fell a lot. It already fell a lot. So you have to ask yourself, how much further is it going to keep on falling? Because there's a lot of instability right now. Like if you look at the price, let me just extend this here further, and then I'm going to talk about that. Uh, Extend right here. So this is an area where it can probably drop down more like 50 pips. So for continuation of sells, I would want to see a break below this 30-minute candle, a break below this 30-minute candle for it to continue moving bearish. Because if this current 30-minute candle breaks below the previous 30-minute candle, then you're going to have a possibility. Maybe you stopped with 6-7 pips and then you can aim all the way down here. And if there's more momentum, you can expect it to continue moving down. But looking at it where the move started, it already fell, what, from 132, 200 down to, 131, 440, 430. It's already like a 78 pip drop. So if you look on the daily daily is almost the same. Daily is like 80, 90, 95 pip drop. So in succession you had 1, 2, 3 days just coming down. So you have to ask yourself, okay, it had 3 days coming down. This daily candle fell this much, like 95 pips. So how much more can it dropping down without retracing? So when people talk about buys, they basically talk about buys on the fact that, okay, well, buys may happen because if price is creating a support, the buys may be some sort of a retracement. you know that's what they basically mean, that it might be some sort of a retracement, because if we form support, there could be retracement up to, like, 131 750, 131 850, 900, but then eventually it may form some sort of a resistance, and then price should continue down to retest the slow. That's the whole idea behind buys, right? Like you can't take a sell over here saying that, oh, the trend is down, I'm going to take a sell over here, and then price retraces, and then you're like, oh man, I'm stuck in a retracement right now. So those things are very important. Gold tried going up. Gold is still stuck here, man. Gold is waiting for ADP. We have ADP numbers coming soon. They're anticipating 21 million. 21 million change. It's crazy. Take a look at this. ADP. ADP employment change. 20 million. You know, this is a lot. 20 million. This means that there were 20 million people who didn't get their pay stubs. Like when you get your pay in North America, 70%, 80% of the pay stubs are generated by this company, ADP. ADP is a company which, other companies hire to do their payrolls, So they said, okay, well, there were 20 million pay stubs didn't go out. So that means 20 million, 20 million people are out of work. So this is messed up right now. So I mean, I think that's why gold is just ranging. Gold's in this weird range like 1710 and 1694. Yeah, GJ should continue moving bullish here. Maybe it's a 131, 700, 750. Got stopped out on sells. Well, obviously, because price fell a lot. You can't expect for price to keep on going. So we have charts here. Let's take a look. Euro New Zealand's 1 hour. If I see a bullish candle close past candles, I will take a buy. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. You have clean traffic here to the left-hand side too. With the buy you just took and removed, didn't the 15-minute bearish bother you? Oh, well, that's why I removed it. You know, I also think it was a little too early. It was too early. Gold 30-minute support became resistance. Yeah, you can play it that way. Like we did create this support and now it's becoming resistance for price to maybe continue down to, 1698, this area here, but we have some really high volatile news coming in for gold, so I'll be very cautious about that. Let's have a mute button here. See the 15-minute. If it breaks above the previous 15-minute, there's a very high chance we're going to start seeing a retracement going up, correcting this move down. So that should be a pretty good move. All right, GP CAD 30-minute price came up to form resistance. 30-minute candle closed bearish. Price made a low. There's a high chance for price to continue down to retest this low. This is a very good idea. Very valid idea too. Let's take a look here at GP CAD. Raja, you have a very nice house. Oh, thank you. Just painted a wall to make it look nicer. 30-minute is like, so now here's the thing. If you're in sells on GP CAD, you want this candle to continue forming bearish candle. You want to continue forming bearish. If you see on the small time frames that you're seeing bullish candles forming, then you're managing your risk, to so to speak. Then you're managing your risk. Then you're saying, okay, well, if I'm in the sell and price is moving against me on the small time frames, then how am I going to manage my risk? So yeah, the 15-minute broke the high of the previous 15-minute. There's a very high chance it should come to 131, 700, 750 and correct. Correct, not the whole move, maybe like partial of this move. This week I entered the right entries, but I don't wait for my analysis to play out. Well, I guess next time you have to wait. You have to wait for your analysis to play out. Let's take a look. I was trying to see what happened with the pound, but there was nothing. There was pound construction PMI, which just said that the construction has declined, but that wouldn't make pound fall. That's the problem. How do we predict movement if the price now is at the lowest that pair ever reached, like your JPY right now? Let's take a look at your JPY. You can't predict. Like if you're looking on the daily, you can't. There's nothing to the left. When you look on the 4 hour and the smaller time frames, then you start to see like smaller moves. So if we manage this here a little better, you had a support right here. Now price is kind of making some sort of support over here. So yeah, that's how you play off of. So if price comes down here, creates a support, then there's a high chance it's going to continue moving up, and that move up is going to be like a retracement, like a correction of the move down. Good day, good day, good day. Yeah, it's going to be a beautiful day. Aiming for price to continue moving bullish. 131,700. What's this? Waiting for this candle to break the high, will retrace to go down later. Support was created. Yep, I think it should continue moving bullish. Because this happened twice last week. Remember like last week we had big moves down on GJ and then price corrected the whole move. Because the moves happened last week where price really dropped and it got corrected. Like this one right over here, this wasn't a fundamentally driven move. Even right over here, this wasn't a fundamentally driven move. So when you have moves that are not fundamentally driven, they get corrected, right? Fundamentally driven moves basically mean like there was no economical decision made that would really like change something in the economy. Oh, someone already got in a buy with me over here. Took a buy. Scanner broke the high. What's this? Oh, nice. Bought at 131,591 simply based on same bias as yours. Too much for a fall. Needs retracement. Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, I think it should continue moving bullish. Would you take a trade in one direction and write it the after? No, no. I would only take a trade in one direction. I mean, if I take a trade, let's say if I take a buy, right? If I take a buy and then I close out and then let's say an hour later or like an hour and a half later, price starts to create a resistance and then price starts to break down, then I'm going to take a sell, because I will need some sort of a time between two trades. So if I see a like a time difference between two trades, then I'm going to take that trade. Yeah, I think this could be a good target here, 131,750. 131,750. Yes, so it's something like this. So my entry is here, my stop loss is right over here. Oh, what's this? Yeah, this is my trade right here. This is what I have going on. What terminal? Ah, the same terminal everyone uses. MetaTrader. I had a pretty good Asian too. I took a sell in Asian. How much? What's this? How much is your spread on GJ? My spread on GJ is 1.4 pips. Yeah, that's my spread on GJ. 1.4 pips. Secured one position up over there at 674. Now I have one more running. So if it comes back down to my entry, I'm gonna exit 50%, and I'm gonna let the rest run. Is TJ still trading? I don't know who TJ is. So this is a counter trend trade technically since the high time frames are that bearish. Yes, so the high time frames are bearish, but this is a trade. This is the trade I missed last week. Like when Mac caught the buys. I think it was somewhere here. So last week Mac caught buys right here. Somewhere over here. No, no, no. Anyway, Mac caught buys last week and I missed the trade. I'm like, okay, well, it's probably going to happen again. So this is the same opportunity. It's happening here again. So this time I'm not missing it. I'm catching it. So the overall trend is bearish, but the fact that we had such a big move down and we've seen GJ retrace and correct moves like this before, so that's the entire basis of this trade. Ooh, nice. Someone got in at 131,540. See, if this 30-minute close is bullish, then there's a high chance for the next 30-minute to kind of like, retrace and then continue bullish. So once this is going to close bullish, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my stops to break even, because I already secured a position up over here. And now for my next position, I don't want price to come down in a drawdown and take me out. I want the price to take me out at break even. So you have to be very mindful of that, because like if you're in profits, the worst you can do is let price come and hit you at like, in like a stop loss. That's extremely bad because that means you already had money in hand and then you allowed price to come back down, not even take the money you had in hand, but also take the money out of your pocket. So those things to me, they just don't make any sense. So I'm placing stops at break even at this point. Why do you draw the support at the body and not the wick? Oh, support is at the wicks and the body. That's where the support is. All right, let's take a look at this chart. This is waiting for price to go up, form a resistance, and continue bearish. Yep, this could work if you can find resistance forming. That's a pretty good idea. What are the point of runners? Well, the reason you have runners is because let's say your analysis plays out, right? Your analysis plays out and you secure positions. And once you secure positions, then if you have a runner running, then you're like, okay, well, maybe this runner can continue up to 131, 750, 740, or even it can go up to like 131, 850. So now you're not stressing. That's the whole point of runners. I thought that was pretty understood, but that's why you have runners. Okay, what's this? Weekend analysis of CO2 report sentiment, bearish bias, second bounce, defines small range. Oh, wow. Wow, man, it's actually pretty good. That's an excellent trade there. All the way from 24473 to 23720. One of the best trades. Very nice. Can you explain what clean traffic shows? Yes, so clean traffic shows that if price does form, keeps forming bullish candles and price keeps on heading up, then there's this clean traffic hitter left, which means price is going to have easier chance of heading up. So that's basically what it means. Yeah, the upcoming news, man, I don't know. It's gonna have a pretty heavy impact. It's gonna have a pretty heavy impact because you have ADP news coming in, and that's like, it's gonna be really bad. It's gonna be super bad. Let's take a look at the pre-markets here. Pre-markets are positive so far, but look at this. Expecting negative 2 million. That's insane. So you close 75% and have a 25% runner. The distance will take for the runner to secure if pretty distant. Is it? Yep. I mean, the thing is, if your position gets stopped out, it gets stopped out. There's nothing you can do. But the only thing you can do is secure profits. I secure profits all the time. I've never felt that me not securing profits, I'm leaving something on the table. Me securing profits is my decision to say, okay, you know what, this is enough of the move I want to take, and I secure profits. Because if you keep on securing profit, because it doesn't make any sense when you take positions and you're like, okay, price should continue moving and this and that, and then you keep on losing, the price keeps on hitting your stops, or it keeps on hitting you at break even, and you start to think that, okay, well, I wish I should have taken profits. I should have just closed, took something in. So that's really important. You should always get in the habit of securing profits, because we're here to make money. I understand money management is personal, but is there a formula to figure out what maximum trade loss, trade profit target, and maximum daily loss would be? It's very personal, Jordan. It's personal. I mean, for me, $1,000 loss is okay. It's no big deal. So you need to ask yourself, is $1,000 loss for you okay? Or like I can say, someone can say, oh, for me, like $10 loss is like maximum. So I mean, it just depends on that. When I come through the charts, before I up my lot sizes, for my daily risk was like $200. I had a good month in March, had a nice, well, yeah, had a good month in March, withdrew money, and then I increased my lot sizes, which also meant that I increased my daily risk now. Now my daily risk ranges between $1,000 to $1,500. So these things are very personal. I mean, my risk formula would not align with your risk. Let's put it that way. So risk is basically something that you learn over time as you trade, as you take wins, as you take losses. You start to figure out what's the sweet spot. Where are you comfortable taking your risk. Like I had a trade over here. Price went up like around like 8 9 pips. I secured one position and the other one stopped out at break even. So I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. So like yesterday I took a loss, $1,400 loss, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. It's no big deal. So risk you learn over time, basically. What do you do when it has reached an extreme low with some backtesting? I have those. Yeah, RJ, I can't see your chart on the question and answer thing. I think you need to post it in the chat. Is it a good time to buy? That's $1 million question. Is it a great time to buy? 1 hour, April 17th, November 16th, daily support. Yeah, I was looking at your JPY here, and it seems like it's creating support. It seems like it's creating support. It's entering this area right over here as like a minor resistance, 114,950. So I think if you're looking for sells, you're probably looking for some sort of a bearish candle forming in this area, so you can take a sell down to this low, which is like 15, 16 pips away. So I think that's something you're looking at. Raja, yesterday you don't follow your rule. I follow my rules every day. That's why I make money every day. Well, yesterday I lost. I lied. Oh wow, seems like this candle is going to close bearish and we might continue heading down from here. Good thing I got out. Good thing I secured over there and put my stops at break even. Because this is a thing when you start trading counter trend trades. Sometimes you get those big retracements, you get those big corrections, but then sometimes price just comes down. So it's really important to really secure positions. See, now it's broken the low over here and it's forming bearish, and man, this could now continue moving bearish. This is a point where I'm not going to take a sell because I already took a buy, so I need to give myself some time to maybe calm down. But it doesn't seem like it's a buy anymore. It was a buy in the moment, but not right now. Clean traffic, nice range. Eventually got stopped. Oh, got stopped out by a pip. So close. Yeah, once we broke that low, there's no turning back. So if people are trying to take buys on GJ now at this time, I think at this time taking buys is going to be very hard. What percentage of your trade do you secure? I had two 10 lots running. I closed one at the top at around 680, 670, and then the other one hit stops at break even. So that's what happened. See, now the candle closed bearish. There's a very high probability it's going to continue moving bearish. At first it created a support and it was starting to move up. So we're like, okay, well, perfect. Might start to go up. But now the sentiment has changed. Now we're moving with the higher time frame trend. I started taking smaller lots, cutting losses out, and when I'm up, just step away from the chart. Yes, that's a great idea. Step away from the charts. Man, I can't believe how clear this mic is. It's just blowing me away. I thought you what's this? Is there any reason why you stick to scalping rather than going intraday? When are you, which you are totally capable of? I think I'm totally capable of doing um, scalping. I think intercession trades, just like small moves. I think that's where my expertise lies, because like once you really start understanding the candles on, let's say, the 30-minute time frame, the 1 hour time frame, the candles move all the same way. If you look on the daily, candles all move the same way. Like you had candles coming down, this daily candle closed with no wick at the bottom, which meant that okay, that next daily candle may start going up because there was no range. But when we did analysis yesterday, we looked at the 4 hour. We're like, okay, well, like if there's a point where price breaks below the support, then there's a higher chance price is going to continue down to 132 even. And that's what happened. Price broke below, and then price action stated that okay, now we should continue moving down. So it just started to move down. And if you look right now, once 30-minute candle broke the low of the previous 30-minute candle, now there's an even higher chance price is going to continue moving down. And it has, I think, if the momentum stays here, there's a very high possibility it could come down to 131 150, 131 100. This is a level from all the way to the left. From This is from, what's this, yeah, like 26th March. If you look all the way left here, let me show you. Yeah, right here. Because this is the next 1 hour support now, right here. This is where price creates some sort of support, created like a liquidity area, and then start to move up. So now when its price is coming down, candles are looking left. Candles are looking left to see that, okay, our buddies were over here before. So now, it makes sense for us to slowly creep down to 131, 200. But it has to move in a very logical way as well. And what I mean by that is like logical ways, because like, once price came down, it started to create support. So the confirmation for sells is right here once the candle broke below these two candles. Because before this candle happened, there was the support formed, right? So these things you have to keep in mind. Do you mind checking GU? Yes, I do mind. You need to send a chart, please. Are you going to trade news? No. Nope. I'm going to watch news from the sidelines and I'm going to see the destruction. Yesterday you said don't trade the JPY news, JPY when there's a holiday. Yeah, because there was a great move yesterday. I mean, it was an awesome move yesterday. How could I have not missed it? I mean, I sold and it just fell. The trend was bearish. We sent an analysis in the group that, okay, if we break below 115,400, there's going to be a move coming down. And once that got broken, you see, like, if price had to consolidate, it had to consolidate above this level, but it broke below. So once it broke below, it just makes logical sense that where's the next point it's going to go to. Oh, it was right here.
It technically wasn't JPY holiday last night.
Oh, it wasn't?
No, because it's Wednesday morning in Japan,
Hold on. Oh, yeah, it's true. That's true.
right?
That's
So
true.
when it says Tuesday, that's Tuesday Japanese day, not Tuesday our day, right? Because technically speaking, that would be Monday night, and into Tuesday, then Tuesday night isn't a holiday anymore, because Tuesday night is Wednesday morning in Japan.
So, yeah, oh, okay, okay. So our 8 p.m. is Japan's morning the
That's right.
next day.
Yes. So you'd be looking at the Wednesday. So if it said if it said Wednesday JPY holiday, that'd be all day. So that would be our Wednesday too, and it would be Tuesday night
Okay.
then, right? They screw it up
Yeah.
because technically speaking, they should put the JPY holiday at the top of
Yes.
Tuesday, right? So then it would make more sense because when you look at the bottom, you think it's going to roll over to like all night Tuesday or whatever, right? But it's not. Yeah, so that's why I had a chuckle when people are like, I can't trade the JPY holiday," and it's like, it's Wednesday morning.
There was momentum. I mean, there was
Yeah,
volume, and I'm like, well, why
yeah,
not? You know?
exactly. Yeah.
Right, what's this? AUD USD waiting for 30 minutes to close bearish. Yeah. It looks good, but there's USD news coming in, so I'd be very cautious on news. Yeah, I'd be very cautious because of the news. When price just breaking my support zone, would you ever base a free traffic? Yeah, I think you need to send this code in the chat. I can't copy stuff. Let's attempt this. Oh, yeah, wrong chart, Daniel. How do you want to get in a sell? Well, you could have gotten in a sell once this candle broke and closed below, but your stop would have been deeper in this zone, and you were anticipating it to continue down with the high time frame momentum, which it is. Like we talked about this selling idea here as well. Half of trading is just executing. So, like, it's good. Like when you miss moves, yeah, it's going to continue moving. I think it's going to come down to 131, 150, 131, 200. Euro JPY as well coming down. Is entering a GJ sell now a suicide? Well, if you enter a sell now you're having a stop which is going to be way up over here, and you're anticipating price to continue down to this area here. So it's going to be like anticipating it to continue moving, and then if it does retrace, then you're riding the retracements while it continues down. This is, ooh, wrong chart. Let's take a look at this chart over here. This is Euro USD 30 minute. I had an entry. This could be a good trade. Yeah, it could be a good trade. But at the same time, you have ADP news coming in. Normally, when there's news coming in, I don't normally take a trade an hour before the news because, it might impact the way price moves. It might, like start consolidating before the news and whatnot because it's a very high volatile news here. Well, I'm not going to say it's really high volatile, but I mean, look at this number. Look what they're expecting here. So this could really throw the US dollar in like a jiffy, maybe throw it in a round. Here's another idea on Euro USD here by Jesus Martinez. He's looking for sells. Price came down, created support, waiting for it to continue up to create resistance to take sells. Yep, this could play out. So keep an eye on that once price reaches here or when it starts to create some sort of support. Your JPY looks like it can continue moving down here as well. Man, this is just crazy. Like these bad construction numbers can they really move pound a lot? I don't know. There's something more. There's something more than just construction numbers going on. Because there's no way those bad construction numbers can move pound this much. There's big news tomorrow for the pound. Yes. Yeah, maybe that's getting priced in. I mean, see, that's the thing. If there's a big news for pound tomorrow, interest rates, and if someone says that okay, maybe this big drop down was that they're pricing in the interest rate news, this means are they going to cut rates or are they going to vote more towards a drop? That's something that we don't know. We just don't know that yet. All right, let's take a look at this chart here. This is UJ 4-hour news and NY volume can break the support. Yes, it can break the support. See, this was the analysis which was sent yesterday. That as price drops, it may come down and fill this area right over here. This area here. And it just kept dropping after that. And now we're coming down to the next area, which is all the way down to 131, 100, 132, 131, 200. See the 15-minute making lower highs, lower lows, 5-minute kind of like retracing. Once it breaks below this low, it's going to continuation down. So, there are no buys right now. A mother hits what? Oh, what are we talking about here? Let's just hide this person. Took an entry as price closed and opened above the resistance. Oh, BTC. Nice. Beautiful. So looks like the candle patterns work on these things as well, on these instruments. Pretty interesting to see. Local sentiment is that will bring more to the economy, but due to Brexit, we won't be needing many, many houses and flat buildings anymore, so they can put a pause. Okay, that's what construction thing is. Yeah, it makes sense too, like if they're trying to get rid of the immigration problem that not many people are going to be living in homes. Too late to short pound. Yes. Too late to short pound. I think if you're still trying to short pound, you're possibly looking at a stop loss above at 131, 460, 470, and then you're aiming for a price coming down to 131, 150. So it's almost like a one-to-one risk reward you're looking at this point. How do you determine whether a currency pair is as high volatility in a market? Example, how do you come about choosing and determining GG as high volatility? Because it has a lot of volume. It's just understood fact. Like as you spend time in the markets, you realize that okay, some pairs have a lot of volume and some pairs have less volume. Just like USD JPY. USD JPY has less volume. GJ has a lot of volume, and then there's your JPY. Your JPY is somewhere in the middle of USD JPY and GP JPY. So these things you learn as you go on, as you look at different currencies and as you look at them at different times in the market, you start to realize that okay, well, some currencies have less volume and more volume. Like gold, gold is extremely volatile. Gold has a lot of volume, so some people stay away from gold. Like me, I'm staying away from gold these days because, like the spreads aren't normal, I would say, as they were in the start of March. So I'm just staying away from gold because it's very high volume. So I'm not comfortable with it. Do you use trend lines? No, no trend lines. Where can I send my chart? I think you need to watch the introduction video to send a chart. Can you use ATR indicator? Oh, you can use ATR indicator to determine volatility. I don't think so. I don't think so. You can use any indicator to tell you whether there's going to be volume or not, because the volume indicators they tell you volume on the previous candles, and you can basically just tell that just by looking at the candles. You look at this candle. This candle has a lot of volume because this candle's body is much bigger than the previous candle's body. This candle is kind of like retracing on the small time frames. You're going to see price moving up, maybe to form like a minor resistance to continue down. So you can say, okay, well, this 15-minute candle has now volume, so it might continue up over here to create resistance to maybe drop down later. So if someone was looking for sells, they might be looking for a minor resistance to be formed. Japanese collateral loans, obligations, leverage loans. Oh, yeah, this is true. Like things happening with the yen as well. But here's the thing, like news like these, they affect the market on the long term. Like daily, weekly. Like some news happens in the moment where it does affect the market while you're trading, like on the small time frames. But overall, I think it affects the market in the long term. See, March is over a yearly basis. Yeah, it's interesting. Kebal had a GP CAD trade. Oh, very nice. As it broke the low, you put a stop loss above the candle, and yeah, it's a very nice trade. Do you think ADP non-farm rule change will move market? Yes. I think ADP is going to move the market a lot. Yeah, I think it's gonna move the market a lot. me just do this here. ADP big moves. We have big moves coming on ADP today. What's the difference between trailing stop loss versus stop loss, and when do you implement trailing stop loss? Yeah, I mean, trailing stops are like, let's say if you're taking sells, right? You're taking sells, and let's say you took a sell right up over here. You take a sell up over here, you put your stop loss up over here, and as price goes in profits, you start trailing your stop. That's basically what it is. And if price starts creating a resistance here, and then you see price coming down, you trail your stop up over here. Because now when price comes up, instead of hitting you at break even up over here, if it does go up there, you want price to take you out in profit. So that's what a trailing stop is. We're going to talk about trailing stops in great detail on May 17th when we have the orientation. Some interesting things lined up. Were you able to secure partials at 10 pips? Yeah, I was able to secure like 9 pips there, not like 10. Like I secured 9 up over here. I anticipated price to continue moving so that my runner can continue moving, but it didn't. It came down, stopped me at break even. So it is what it is. It was a counter trend trade. Counter trend trade anyway. Where is Monty today? Monty is probably in England. What do you think about taking trades from psychological numbers? I think that's a very, I'm going to say that's a very foolish way to trade. I know some people who wait for price to hit like psychological numbers like 131 500 and like 132 even, like those even really strong even numbers. They take blind trades. Taking blind trades from those levels is very risky, extremely risky. What you want to do is you want to make sure that if technically it makes sense. Like let's say if this 15-minute candle is about to close in 4 minutes, and if you have the next 15-minute candle that comes up towards 131 500, and someone can say, oh, okay, it's at a psychological level, so I might want to take a sell. But you'd want to wait for something to close bearish at this level. If you see a candle closing bearish at 131 500, then it makes sense. Then you can say, okay, you know what? Price came to a psychological level at 131 500, it closed bearish, and I took a sell. So now I took a sell at a psychological level. But if price comes up to 131 500 without closing bearish and you take a sell, now you've taken a very foolish trade without waiting for candle to close bearish. So I think that there's a big difference in taking a blind trade at a level or taking a very educated and well-informed trade at like a certain level that you talk about. Dope mic, thank you, thank you. Trusted my mentor and he advised me to get this mic and I got it.
I mean, literally, it was the middle of the pack, and it just made sense.
Yeah, yeah. Like I had a choice of getting a 50, $60 mic or a $200 mic.
Yeah,
This was in the middle of $100.
and it's not that big bulky thing. Like I didn't want to do that big bulky. Like it looks like I'm getting ready to fly into like JFK or something.
Yeah. Why don't you take a look? Okay, let's take a look. Let's take a look here. GPAUD formed support in New York, support strong area, bearish candle retest. You took a sell over here. Nice, pretty good trade. Very good trade. Who is your mentor? Ted was my mentor. For the fact you have money but don't flex it on people. Oh yeah, I'm gonna flex today a little bit. Yeah, just a little bit. I'm gonna flex today.
I should too.
I had pretty good 2 months, so I'm allowed to flex now. Is it safe to enter a trade after the breakout or wait for a retest? I'm confused. Please help. I think it's better to wait for a confirmation. That's what it is. You have to wait for confirmation. So there are two things I'm looking at right now. One of the things I'm looking at over here is that maybe if there's a potential for price to continue heading up, it might form like a resistance, and then with confirmations, we can take a sell coming down to retest this low. Or the other thing I'm looking at is for price to, for the next candle to essentially break this support and then continue moving down. Let's take a look on the five minute here. Yeah, so for those confirmations for price to break the support and then continue down to 131, 180. So those are two things I'm looking at this point. How long have you been trading? Well, it's going to be 4 years. It was 4 years in April. 1 year of losing money and 3 years of getting back up. How many servants do you employ to care for your smoking lounge? Yeah, I think it's going to continue moving bearish here. 5 minutes kind of like turning down, turning into where we want it to turn. Let's take a look here. Now, the reason I'm dropping down to 5 minute is because there's a lot of volume there. There's a lot of volume in this pair right now and this time especially. So if we do break these lows at 131, 314, there's a very high chance we're going to continue moving down to 131, 200, 131, 180. The 30-minute candle just closed. It closed bearish after like a consolidation, closed below this support, closed big volume bearish candle. 15-minute candle also closed bearish with a big wick to the top. So yeah, we'll have to wait for the lows to break. I noticed that the market don't follow the candle signal nowadays. You know, to be honest, it's been the last 2 weeks have been pretty hard. It hasn't been easy like the last 2 weeks. It hasn't been easy. It's been pretty hard last 2 3 weeks. You've had some very erratic movements, like market hasn't been doing things you would expect it to do. Like you would have big move like this in London, and then New York would just correct the whole move, and you're like, oh well, what happened. But today I was expecting the same thing, but it broke below support because I guess there's a lot of volume now. What's this? Ooh, chart coming in, taking a sell over there, looking for 135.50. Nice. That's a pretty good target. Your TP1 and TP2 are also pretty good. 131, 200. Makes sense. After confirmation and you take a trade and retraces and stops you out and then continues in your direction, would you change stops? Yes. So we did a Jordan Hughes. I think you're in the Slack group. I think. But we did a webinar on how to give your trades a second chance. Essentially, if you do get now like a lot of people they get stopped out. They get stopped out, and then price moves their way. So we did a webinar on how can you give your trade a second chance. Like what certain things you can look at in the market and say, okay, you know what, maybe now this is the time I can re-enter or give my trade a second chance. I do that all the time here. Sometimes I enter a trade and my trade hits break even like ASAP, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, now this is going to be a second chance I'm going to give this trade. And most times it's a winning trade. Would you have taken a sell once it broke the low of the 15-minute? I normally wait for the lower wick. I feel I'm constantly missing those pips. I feel no, not really. Not really. I'd probably take a sell once it starts breaking the lows here at 131, 320, 315. That's where I'm looking to take a sell once it starts breaking those lows. I looked back into some of the old charts for ADP news. Seemed like a variety of pairs got affected. Initial sells. I think, Anthony, you need to send your chart and really, really mark it up what you're talking about because it's really hard to understand what you mean by just text. I don't know, like this candle, 470, 470, like right here. No, because at this time I wasn't at the charts. That's the thing. I wasn't at the charts at this time. So talking about this, it doesn't really matter because I wasn't present on the charts. This is the thing. The charts are gonna show you a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different outcomes. This way I can go back and say, okay, how could I have caught this move when realistically I was sleeping at this point? So you should only focus on what's presented to you in the moment and what you can control. Because maybe this scenario is going to happen again in New York, and maybe it's going to play out differently than what played out at this time. So there's a very distinct differentiation between, like, when you look at what's happening while you're not at the charts, as opposed to what's happening while you're on the charts. So I think a lot of people, they can confuse themselves that way too. Does this mean usually all USD pairs get affected? Might be a dumb question. We had to clear that out. Yes, so all USD pairs are going to get affected by the ADP news because it's ADP news. Sometimes you may see some little spikes here and there on let's say GJ or your JPY, but for the most part, the USD pairs will get affected by that news. How reliable is the 15-minute time frame? I think it's 15-minute time frame is, I think 30-minute is more reliable than the 15-minute time frame. So you should focus on the 30-minute time frame. Now you see how this on the 30-minute, if you would have taken sell, stop would have been way too big, like almost like 20 pips. So it didn't make any sense. On the 15-minute, I'm waiting for the sell to break below this area, 131,320. It didn't come down. I didn't take a market order here just because of the fact because this candle body is too small. You know, when you have a small candle bodies, this means there's less volume in that candle, and there's a low probability for price to continue down. 5 minute time frame is even weaker, Frank. So as you go down now, if you go down to 1 minute, it's going to be even weaker. So you got to stay. I stay with the 30 minute for the most part. You know, so now as it starts to come up, then you start to look for to see if it's going to form some sort of like resistance to continue moving down. So going to keep an eye on that. ADP news horrible. Therefore, all USD pairs to the moon because apparently things work opposite these days. That's true. You know, like news comes out bad and USD pairs go flying, and everyone's like, "What? Why?" That's
So
true.
it's interesting too because the futures market is up again, and they're citing rebounds and things of that nature. And it's like, well, don't you realize like there's going to be a massive unemployment number coming out?
Yeah, I really want to see how that changes things.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very scary.
Oh man, it's gonna be a shit show. You got the unemployment ADP numbers coming out. You got NFP on Friday with the same disastrous outcome. Like, it's a disaster. Fr- From 700,000 to 2 million. No, 21 million.
It's funny because when you look at when you read Zero Hedge, um, when you read Zero Hedge, they actually give us the real information, and the rest of the media is just essentially lying to everybody because now the coronavirus is mutating.
Apparently, it's mutating.
Yeah, um, you're you're probably gonna get like this video is not gonna get shown probably now because we put that on there, but. This web page is getting blocked by every social media program.
You know, it's funny that it might get mutated because people have been staying inside and their immune systems aren't being exposed to,
Yep.
like, and accidentally I was listening to Jordan Peterson yesterday. There were just videos just playing randomly, and one thing he said that like he talks really fast,
Hmm.
like he talks really quick, and he's like, well, the population is going to hit 9 billion, and then we're going to see a sharp decline, and then he starts talking about something else, and that really caught my attention. I'm like, well, kind of maybe this might be
The
something.
not, yeah, this is the spy.
This,
Well, the thing that bothered the thing that got me the most was yesterday on the news when they were talking about in Ontario, 75% of deaths are from the old age home.
yeah.
That that bothered me the most because of the fact that that's a controlled environment and you are basically forcing everybody else because I think there's what like 3,000 or 30 like about 3 or 4,000 deaths in Ontario, and 75% of those deaths have come from old age homes. So that means 25% of the 300 death or the 3,000 deaths have come from like other things, and then calculate that by the total population. Like we're literally sitting around because of a car accident. So
Yeah, it's pretty wild when, yeah, in controlled environments.
yeah, it's just I mean at this point they should have opened up everything. I agree with any place that's opening stuff up, just open it up. It's not going to get any better, and at this point, if people can't wash their hands and like literally practice hygiene, then it's Darwinism.
So this would have made sense. Yes. Yes, Anthony. I think it could have been a little early as well. I think the entry was a little late. Oh, I see you're using magic keys. Nice. Break even trigger active, partial TP is active. Beautiful. Which indicator is most useful? Eyes. Eyes are the most useful indicator you can have. Once you have your eyes on the charts and you're really focusing on it and you're waiting, I think waiting is also a really good indicator to have. Waiting and patience. See now it's creating a support GPJPY and now you can expect the next candle to now two scenarios. One scenario, you can expect it to come up, create a resistance and then continue down to retest the slow and possibly continue down further. Or you can expect the next candle to break the slow just like we did on the 30-minute right over here and it had to move down. And expect the same thing happening over here and then take a sell for it to continue down. So I'm gonna wait. How about caveman indicator? Yeah, so that's basically a caveman indicator that we developed. And it basically states that if this is support, and if candles break this support, then the caveman indicator says that there's a higher chance that candles are going to continue moving down to the next support. And that's basically it. But the prerequisite to that is you have to wait. Do you use FXCM or others? I really don't know and I don't care of what I use. It's just what I have. You know, some people message me saying, "Hey, bro, like your price is at 131,360. How come my price is at 131,760?" I mean, I don't know. I just don't know. Looks like everything's turning here. So this could be a nice target, 131, 150. So price breaks. Let's put it at an even number, 131, 300. Yeah, it's a good area. You're looking for sells? Yes, I'm looking for sells. At first I had buys on GJ, I took a little buys and then I closed and now I'm looking to now I'm looking for either resistance to be formed to continue down or a break below that support. UJ target sell question mark. I think you need to send a chart based on that statement. And then we can talk about UJ sell. But without seeing a chart, it's really hard to see what you're looking at. Trading is like driving. You know, like someone can speed up at taking turns, someone likes to go fast, someone likes to go slow. So, if my rules of driving are going to be, well, as you take a turn, you just put the pedal to the floor and you go fast. and someone's going to say, "Oh no, that's a stupid idea. I'm going to slow down and take a turn." But essentially, you're all taking the turn, but your risk is managed. Like if you're going fast, you're not really going too fast because your car is going to slip and slide. So same thing here with trading. Like especially with risk. Like when price starts to go against you, my rule is to like take off 50%. Because I want to reduce my losses. Someone can say, okay, well, no, I'm going to hold it. That's their risk. So they're two very different things. Let's take a look at this UJ chart. Oh, very nice. You have a selling based on the 4-hour chart. You sold 3, 6, 9, 12, 12 4-hour candles ago. Pretty good. Let's take a look at this chart here. GJ 15 minute. Oh, nice. You had entered based on a 15 minute. Stop loss hit. Didn't know exactly why, but it could have been. Yeah, I think if you entered over here, you entered when the candle was bullish, so you had to wait for some confirmations. Oh, and then you re-entered over here, so it's pretty good. Yeah, I think if people can, if I could give someone one tip, which which I picked up from Ted. The tip, one really good tip to really reduce losses and to really improve your patience and discipline. This tip I'm gonna give on the May 17th. The tip is to always wait for candles to close in your direction. That's the most important thing. Always at least wait for price to, close in your direction at least. While you're doing that, you're waiting for candles to close. You're waiting. You're actually waiting. That's the whole idea. You're actually waiting. Like someone can take sells over here, say that getting FOMO and all, like whatever withdrawal symptoms people go through when they don't take a trade. So like it's really important to wait for price to close in your direction and then take the trade. That's my number one tip. Like if I die tomorrow, that's going to be my tip for profitability. I mean, and then you can just work on that and then just focus on that and like make up your own rules and stuff. Someone's asking, "Oh, is it on the 30-minute or 15-minute?" That's something you have to practice yourself. Like 30-minute are better confirmation time frames, 15-minute are like they're like lower confirmation time frames, so it's up to you. It's like when you take a trade based on a 15-minute, right? Since price is ranging here, we're just going to talk about this. So when you take a trade on the 15-minute time frame or the 5-minute time frame, think about this, right? You get a lot of opportunities to take a trade, and those opportunities are like buying something in bulk from China. Sometimes they work, but most times they don't work. But like when you're waiting for, let's say, the 30-minute or the 1 hour to close in your direction, now you're actually waiting longer for price to close. You're actually waiting longer for that opportunity or that confirmation. And when you do get those confirmations, now the probability of it working out is going to be much, much higher than on the 15-minute or the 5-minute. So that's why it's really important to just wait. When I wait for the candle to close in my direction, it closes straight to my TP. Yes, so then you have to figure out that, okay, if you're waiting, so sometimes it's going to happen too. Sometimes, while you're waiting for candles to close and the candle keeps on heading to where you want it to go initially and it starts to go there and hits your take profit, you're like, oh man. Then you can say that, okay, how could I have entered before? Okay, so how could I have taken a impulsive entry so that I wouldn't have missed this trade? You will miss those trades. It's going to happen, and that used to happen to me as well, which is why I then started to focus on that. Okay, since I waited and price did do exactly what I wanted it to do, but it did it earlier, how could I have entered the position? How could I have been in that trade and then taken the profit? And then I came up with something, how to give your trades a second chance and whatnot. So that's something, I started working on. So like, most people don't do this, but I always look at moves, and I always look to see how could I have taken that move, because someone took that trade, someone out there made money and I didn't. I missed it, and I want to know why.
Yeah, and the easiest idea behind that too is look for where all the big moves happen. And if you could, I mean, this is the thing, is overlay that same section of the chart, so the same time of that chart over the last like 20 days. So if you notice that every day between 3 and 4 o'clock, there's a movement, or there's big candles for the most part, overlay that and you'll start to understand, okay, at this time I should be in front of the charts. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if the market's going to move up or down, but I know there is going to be a movement that I could possibly catch. I think just simple detective work on the charts answers a lot of people's questions. I think that's the biggest thing that you can do as a trader, is just be a detective. Like you look and you see big candle movements on the chart that you're trading, and you're like, and like you said, Raja, how could I have caught those trades? But more importantly, how many times do I see these big candle movements over the last 30 days at this time? Is this just a freak occurrence, or is this something that happens often that I can take advantage of? Um, and I think people need to do that more often and just investigate, because a lot of questions that we get are questions that you can just answer by just asking why on the charts and going through multiple time frames and saying, oh, that's the reason why that did this, or that's the reason I could have taken that trade. And not have such hard and fast formula rules where it's like, well, I have to wait exactly for a break or a retest on the 15-minute time frame, and then the 5-minute time frame shoots down 30 pips, and you're like, well, how would we be enter? How could we enter? Because I didn't get a retest on the 15-minute candle. Well, no, you did. You got one on the 5-minute. You have to be able to adapt and adjust your trading as well. Use the same concepts and same principles over multiple time frames. Maybe you get a break and retest on the hour, and that was more accurate than the 15, right? So you have to be able to toggle through and come up with scenario-based ideas to allow you to execute, because you're not going to get the exact same idea every single time. If you were bad at math, you're going to be bad at trading. And the reason why I say that is because in math, they teach you a formula, but then they change the numbers all the time, right? So you look, and I'm not talking about addition and subtraction. I'm talking about actual, I would say, almost like finite math or calculus, where you look at those numbers and they give you the formula, and then they give you a question, and you're like, oh, that's easy. It's just you put this together and then you input this, and then they give you a question that makes you apply your knowledge because the formula is not there, and you sit back and you're like, well, I don't know how to do this. And that's the same idea that happens in trading. Is you have a bunch of ideas that you've learned, you now have to apply them to the charts. How you apply them to the charts is your discretion and your comfort level. And that is what's going to make you a profitable trader. Your ability to say, hey, I didn't get a break and retest on the 30-minute candle, but that doesn't mean I can't find an entry. I have to now move over to the 15-minute and the 5-minute candle. Like, you have to adapt. You have to be able to say, hey, this is working, but it's not working in this particular scenario, so I have to adjust, or there's no trade for me. So that's essentially, the best way to approach trading is put that information together, but adapt to multiple time frames.
Someone said we're going to see some crazy things today. Yes. Really really crazy things coming in here. Where's your TP once price breaks 131,500? I'm possibly looking for sells, not buys, because price made a low below support. 131,500 was an important level. Price made a low at 131,300 essentially, and then now it's trying to retrace. I'm looking for a selling opportunity to continue down to 131,200, no 300, and essentially continue down to 131,150. That would be great. Will you take the trade before news? I think, yeah. I mean, if it formulates at that point, then I'm going to take the trade. But if it doesn't formulate, then it makes no sense, right? So at this time, we're just waiting. All right, what's this? Your JPY 30-minute. Price made a low, price came up from resistance, use less risk because second trade of the day. Very nice, very nice. Stop too tight, got stopped out. Give trade a second chance, came down. Oh, nice. She gave it a second chance, and it seems like it's running. Has. Has had a nice trade. What's this? Someone sent another chart. Was there negative CAD news? Negative CAD news. CAD is actually not doing good at all. Like the exchange rate I'm getting when converting USD to CAD is just unreal. It's crazy. So nice. GPUSD, I want to buy, man. GPUSD, anything to do with the USD right now, good luck. That's all I can say. Good luck with that. Because the USD is about to move.
It's gonna be scary.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be nuts. Oh, your GPY is still coming down here. This is nice. Whoever took this trade, beautiful. So this is the exact move I'm looking for on GJ. You know, price made a low, came up, create some sort of resistance, and then continue coming down. That's something I'm looking at. Are you going to trade the news or just going to see all the madness? I'm gonna watch all the madness. I'm not gonna trade. I'm not gonna trade ADP, but what I am looking to do is I'm looking to execute a sell on GBP JPY here. If the 15-minute candle, if this 15-minute candle, this one breaks the low over here, then I'm going to execute a sell, because now, since it's New York Open and there's volume in this session, and if price is trending down, you know, and if we break this low, then there's a high chance for the 30-minute candle to close bearish as well. So I think that's going to be a very, very good opportunity for price to continue moving bearish, breaking this support and continuing down. Or if price forms a bearish candle up over here, I think that's also going to be a very good opportunity. So I'm probably going to wait. Right, what's this? Oh, wrong chart. When you say break the low of the previous candle, does it have to close? Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, if it breaks the low, then I'm anticipating it to continue moving down. You know, that's the thing. That's what an impulsive entry is. I'm anticipating it to continue breaking down, because if it breaks the low, that means it's made a high already. So then it shouldn't come back up to break the high. You know, so if it comes down, starts breaking the low here, my stop is going to be like 8-9 pips, and I could aim for, you know, then I could anticipate price to break the support and continue moving down, basically. That's what's running through my mind right now. So just kind of waiting right now. But I think that would be a very, very good move. Dustin. Oh, Dustin. Welcome. Welcome to the dark side. Dustin's up early today. Come to the streams. Will the GP rate affect GJ in a negative way? GP rates are tomorrow, so we're gonna focus on GP rates tomorrow, not today. Yeah, so if it does break the low here, this trade is going to be aggressive trade, and I don't expect. I mean, man, this is really scary. This is really scary because if I do something, people copy it, they don't know their risk, and ultimately it goes bad for them. Especially when it hits my stop loss. Like yesterday. Yesterday, I took two trades, two trades, and both hit my stops, and some people held the trades, and I'm like, oh. Tomorrow is also a decision about the lockdown. Yeah. Yeah, when we had that big move up on the pound, when it was basically they said, "Oh, Boris, oh, what's this? USDCHF break support. You took a sell over here. What do you think?" Yeah, I think it's a good trade. I think it's good. I think you could have managed your risk here a little bit as price came up. You could have just risked 13%. Well done. Beautiful. Not even gonna talk about that trade anymore. I took one of those yesterday, and the first one about to hit stop loss, lost 8 pips. Very nice. So we got news coming in. Ooh, your GPY came down to the lows here. Beautiful. So around 131, 131, 360, 131, 360 would be a good idea. 131, 360. Keeping an eye on gold here too. I mean, the way it's just ranging. Look at this 4 hour on gold. Let's remove everything here. So you have gold may come down to 1690. It may move up to, what's this area? 1714. Looking at it from a daily perspective, daily looks like, daily actually, I mean, the funny thing is this daily candle closed bullish, and then you had this small body daily candle. The next one had a bigger body, which means a little bit more volume. They have wicks on both sides. This means there's a lot of indecision. Even though they're closing bullish, it doesn't mean it's going to go bullish. But technically speaking, they are expecting bad numbers. They're expecting bad numbers. If now here's the thing, they're expecting negative 20 million. This is 20 million, and it should have been priced in. That's something I don't understand. If the market's expecting really bad numbers, it should have been priced in, and it's not priced in. Because priced in would mean that you would have seen gold moving bullish, but it's not. That's not the case. It's pretty weird. You have this 15-minute also closing bearish here in the next 5 minutes. So taking a sell based on this 15-minute closing bearish would be a little risky because again, it's a 15-minute time frame, and it's not that high confirmation time frame. This could be a little risky. I think a break below this area would be much better. Where is my squad? I have no squad. My squad always dies in Call of Duty. All right, we have 4 minutes, 3 minutes. Yeah, this would be insane. Let's see how big this range is from 1702 to 1716, 50 pips above at like, 80 pips. I could see a $8 move. Oh boy. It's not moving bullish yet because they know it's going to go up. They're driving the price down to get it. Yeah, that could be a possibility too. But they haven't really brought price down. That's the whole problem. They haven't really, came down to the lows of like last week around like 1690 or even like, lower down at 1678. They just kept it stable, kept it up. Something I don't understand. Let's see what happens here. GPJPY looking like, it could continue moving down here. So maybe also focused on there. I lost 38%. What should I do now? I think you should call it a day if you lost 38%. You should call it a day. You should look at the losses and pretty sure it was over risking and over leveraging and just say that, hey, I'm not a bad trader. I just made dumb mistakes. That's it. Because in the market, you can only control your risk. You can't control the outcome. Like if I take a sell right now, I can only control how much I can lose. I mean, price will either go down or it's going to go up. There's a statistical probability of what's going to happen, and we basically trade based on those probabilities. So if this candle closes below the previous candle, then there's a high probability price is going to continue down, and I think executing on that trade is going to be much better. And there's news coming in like 1 minute. All right. We got 40 seconds. Check out the spreads on gold, man. Crazy. Crazy spreads on gold. Yeah, GJ should continue down, to retest a slow here after the 15-minute candle.
I hope UJ continue down. And I'll be looking at 105 700s so target.
Oh, nice. All right, here we go.
And in order.
Oh! Oh, wow, look at that move, man.
God damn.
Jesus. Ooh. Wow.
Oh, shit.
Oh my God, such a huge move. Wow.
Oops.
Nothing.
What is...
They haven't even updated the numbers yet. Wow, is this a delayed reaction? Man, this is gonna... If this goes up, this is some crazy manipulation here.
I have a pending order on UJ 106.05.
Somebody took buys down at 1702.
It's crazy.
So we're gonna make buckets here. Yeah, they're not. Let's take a look here. Oh yeah, it did come. Oh, it's a little better than expected. Still 20 million. 20 million doesn't make it better anyway. Damn, man. 20 million. Wow. 20 million. They didn't process 20 million pay stubs. That's what it means. They processed 20 million less pay stubs.
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, so GJ is not a sell here yet. Still waiting here. It's a waiting game for GJ. Can you explain what happened on gold just now? Yeah, so there was news happened and gold basically did a little, like a small firework. That's it. Saw what happened on gold. But GJ now is coming back in. Once this breaks the previous 15-minute low, I'm heading in. We are heading in. Yeah, man. See that? Oh, there we go. Activated. We have been initialized. See, it broke this low here. Now there's a very high probability for it to continue down to retest this low and then continue down further with New York momentum. Stocks already down. Yes, US 30 also dropped. When are you jumping in the trade? I already am in a trade. I lowered down my lot sizes and then I took an entry. At like 413, 131, 413. So it is somewhere over here. This is my entry right here. 131, 413. My stop loss is above the current 15-minute candle, around 131 for 470. So this is a smaller risk. Smaller risk, so understand that, smaller risk. Oof, gold is coming down. And let's take a look at this chart here. This is your JPY. Price made a resistance entry with delay. Very nice. I think you caught it. I think it did went down and then bounced up here. But very nice. You caught this. Are we in a GJ sell? We are not in a GJ sell. I am in a GJ sell. This is, I'm risking 10% of my profits from today. So keep that in mind because this is a risky entry. It's a little aggressive. So I'm risking way less than I normally would. You know, so I'm risking 10% of my profits. So let's say if you made $200, I'm risking $20, if that makes sense. I think it makes sense to me. I'm risking less. Funny when people say, we. Are we in a trade, mate? Do you take into account your volatility with do you take into account your volatility with stops? That question does not make any sense. Do you take into account your volatility? No, it doesn't make any sense, that question. What is your TP? I think you can see it on the screen, or if you open your eyes a little more, like maybe look like this. You'll be able to see it on the screen where the TP is, right? Look like this. Or maybe look like this.
Ooh,
Oh, beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah, see at this point, if price starts to come back to my entry, I'm going to close everything. So I'm going to do the same thing I did in my previous trade. I took a trade here, I took profits up there, and then I closed once price came to my entry. So I'm going to do the same thing here if it comes to my entry. Yeah, gold is dropping. Yeah, damn. Maybe gold is just reacting to the initial good news. That's about it. Because there's no reason for gold to drop. I think gold's just grabbing liquidity to continue up further later on. When you're in a trade like this, do you ever close some positions early just to ensure you secure at least some profits even when it's going towards your TP? Depends. In this trade, I'm willing to let it ride because my risk is low and I'm trading with the trend. I waited for this to happen and it happened, so I'm willing to let this ride. People just be copying and still losing because they don't. Yeah, I mean, if you don't, it's just like taking signals. When people take signals, they're like, "Oh, I took this guy's signals, I blew my account. This guy's signals blew my account." No, you blew your own account because you didn't know how to manage risk. Ooh, someone got an entry at 470. If it breaks below, I will let it run till 150. Yeah, sure, 150. That's a reasonable target. You could let it run till there. Um, because now it's approaching the support over here. So this is where if I was in my regular position, like if I had my regular volume open at this point, I'd be securing positions here because it's reaching a support. So I'm not sure whether the support is going to break or not, right? But since this is a lower risk trade, I'm willing to let it ride. So if it comes to my entry, I'm probably going to exit at break even.
GG's looking good. So good.
Yeah, it's running as expected here.
Yeah.
Is it just me or is there new music? Well, there should be music on YouTube. Oh, nice. Come on. Putting stops at break even at this point now. Oh,
Yeah, I'm closing 25, 50% in the first position and
perfect.
letting one small position running because the next 30-minute candle should make a nice push.
Yeah, we should continue down. There we go, getting like almost 10 pips here, securing 10
Yes.
pips.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, perfect. We had a pretty good trade here.
Mm.
I had a second position from 131 400, which also pretty good. Now we're approaching take profit. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's put these stops at break even and let it run. Excellent trade. So on YouTube, if you guys took the same trade and you profited, came straight down to take profit, just hit a like on the stream. You know, it helps a lot of people because they come here and they learn. Beautiful. We waited. See now, this was a really good example where waiting for the candle to close wasn't necessary. You know, I was talking about once we break the low, you know. So now if a runner keeps on running, that's perfect. Let's see what gold did. Yeah, gold is I don't think gold is bearish, man. Gold is not bearish at all. I don't I don't buy this. It's not bearish at all. It just went down because the news came negative and that's about it. Your JPY didn't move at all. GJ is the only one that moved. So I think if it continues below 131 338, it should continue down towards 131 200 and beyond. I think that's going to be a very very good position to be in.
Yeah, I think so. Come on, GG. Let's go.
GJ. Yeah, it's going to continue moving. Okay. What are the signals? Please tell me. What? What are the signals? Please tell me. I think GJ will make that last run downwards, the close of the 4 hour. Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. As this 4 hour candle comes to close, even though it's a very big 4 hour candle, I mean, just by looking on the 30-minute candle did close below the previous two candles. There's a possibility it can come down, but the thing is, it closed at the same level as the 7 a.m. 30-minute candle. You know, so I mean, it came down to a support essentially. You know, so this is where you have your stops at break even. So one thing you don't do is you don't take a sell down here. If you take a sell down here, no, it makes no sense, you know. So if you've missed this trade, always look to see how could you have gotten a better entry. A better entry would have been up over here. So It's like another easy 10 pips. GJ sells. Oh, did my runner got stopped out? Did it? Oh yeah, it got stopped out. Well, that was it for today for me. Took 2 trades and 2 wins, and that's about it.
Yeah.
How come you entered GJ before the price broke below the wick? So I talked about this, Tammy. So I think the best thing would be to watch the refresher. Oh, watch the recap. As it was happening, I talked about it again and again and again. I actually discussed it 4 or 5 times. That what I'm going to do, where my stop is going to be, when I entered, when I placed my stop loss, where I placed my take profit, everything. Whenever I enter a trade, I explain everything that goes through my mind. How much should I wait before trading USD pair? I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. How much should? Yeah, it depends. You have to wait for confirmations, basically.
I think I'm gonna do like a live stream where people can ask these kind of opinionated questions. I think that's what we're missing. Um, because I think a lot of people just want to have like a rapid fire question and answer session. They don't, there's no rhyme or reason. It's like I've just listened for the last 20 minutes because I was typing up a report, and there hasn't been really one valid question, to be honest. It's just, it's not going to help your trading. Like, I don't understand. Like, do people think this helps their trading? I think it does a disservice. Like, when should I enter? Are we in trades? Are we in this? What are we doing here? I think the idea of trading is lost with a lot of people. Like, trading is individual. You come to this stream to learn about someone's execution, the way they do things, and the idea is to take knowledge and say, hey, I agree with that idea, or I don't really agree with that idea. It's not to copy. It's not to say, well, what if we do this? That's up to you if you do that. You can sit all day, I think, and people don't realize this, is you can sit and say, what if, what if, what if, what if? I mean, it's just, it's exhausting. You can go through 10,000 scenarios and you still won't have the right answer, because there'll always be another answer to that answer. So I think a lot of people need to stop going down the rabbit hole and just frame a chart, frame a support and resistance, frame an area that you're looking to attack, and say, how can I be profitable in this area? Can I be? Yes or no? If the answer is no, move on. If the answer is yes, start mapping out a trade. That's the easiest way to do things. It's not rocket science in that sense. Like, if you sit and you do analysis paralysis, you're going to go insane. Well, should I enter now? How long should I wait after news? Should I trade the news? What should I do here? You can do anything you want. It's what is your comfort level with what you're executing on? Where does your experience lie in executing that? Like, when people say, should I trade the news? Right away, the answer is no. Because if you're asking that question, that means you have no experience in what you're doing. You shouldn't even be asking. What you should be saying is, the last 3 times I've tried to trade the news, this is the results of my trading. Is there a way for me to interpret this data to get a better answer to how to trade the news, or should I leave that altogether? I lost 20% today. What should I do? Well, you are already too late to ask that question. When you lost 5% or 3%, that's when you should have taken a step back and said, hey, what did I do here? And I think a lot of people have to just take a step back and look at that. Ted, what would you be doing here if you wasn't Raz's stream? Your girlfriend would have to throw TV out the window. Actually, no, my girlfriend wouldn't be asking stupid questions, so we actually have good conversations. So I wouldn't have that issue. I think 90% of people here are upset because they don't like the truth. I'm sorry, it just sucks that people don't like the truth. I mean, I'd rather have someone tell me the truth than lie to me and say, "Hey, trading's easy. Join my Signal service for $20 a month, and I'll give you 400 pips." I mean, I don't know. It just seems like a moral code to me. I just want people to succeed, and I think sometimes when we look at what we're doing, we just have to take a step back. That's all. You guys can like Raja, you can hate Ted. We'll play good cop, bad cop.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Raja's so
content.
nice to us. He helps us. Ted just gets mad. Oh, there you go. So you have a balance, right?
Ted comes with a stick. All right.
Yeah, it's it's funny. There's people now that are doing mentoring that are helping others, and it's funny. I got like messages last night going, "Is this what people do all day?" Like, yep. They ask those questions. You got to get used to it. Yeah. But I mean, like I said, I'd rather be hated for telling the truth than loved for lying. I think that's what it comes down to. I I've just seen it all before. I mean, I think a lot of people here don't realize how much experience you have when you've been trading for 5, 6 years every day for hours at a time. Like all the pitfalls and then mentoring hundreds of people. Like I've seen everything. Like I can box the idea of trading into like a 10 paragraph or a 10 sentence paragraph, in terms of what you have to do and how you have to do it. And that's what we do everything here. So, hey, well.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Will you take a look at AJ? Yes. Let's take a look here. Oh, wow. Okay, what is this? This is basically A, B, C, D, E. So you're waiting for an F. Sell entry is over here. I think you're missing a zone. Let me just help you with that zone. I think you're missing the support. Once you break the support, maybe look left. Kind of messy. You could expect it to come and make an F down here at D, and then you could have a G up over here somewhere. So it could go something like this: A, B, C, D, E, F. Maybe you want F down over here, and then G up over here maybe, and then H somewhere, wherever. I don't know that strategy, but makes sense. Sell makes sense though, because I think you took a sell after this candle closed bearish. I also think that this sell had nothing to do with A, B, C, D, E. It had everything to do with price made a low, came up, you saw resistance forming here. After that candle closed, you took a sell, and now you're in a trade. So excuse my sarcasm. Sometimes it gets the best of me. Does anyone know why some traders use multiple monitors? What do they need on those screens? My monitor, on one screen I have this screen open, on the other screen I have my chats open, my terminal open, I have all other stuff open on my other monitor. And I'm trying to get a third monitor so I can trade better. Wow, gold is still coming down. Yeah, it's coming down to this area we had drawn from before. It's a 4-hour support it's coming down to. And then the next one is around 1691. I still don't believe in this little bearish run, man. Friday is going to be nuts.
It's funny because when you look at that dropping, right? You look at gold dropping, but then I'm watching right now, I'm watching you like the Dow index, like US 30, and that's dropping too. So how is the stock market dropping in value, like losing value, and how is gold also losing value?
Yeah, it should be the opposite, right? Should be the opposite.
Yeah, and it was interesting because earlier this morning, which was blatantly media manipulation, they were talking about the pre-market data being up, but that's just, it's interesting when that happens because, you know, we watched US 30 drop, which indicates that the market is losing value. So um, that's the reason why when like I've been studying US 30 now for like a month and a half, just on and off, I don't believe anybody should be really trading it. It's very difficult to trade. I know there are people that succeed with it, but this is a perfect example. We have conflicting information. So you have pre-market data supporting the Dow futures to go up, which would mean US 30 should rise, right? Because basically the stock market right now is at 23,000 points, right? So if you're learning how to understand US 30, US 30 is basically your top 30 companies based on market cap in the stock market. So essentially, from a finance standpoint, if you were to gauge how those top 30 companies are doing, that should signal the rest of the market to move in that direction, as an example. So what you're saying is, you're saying that the top 30 companies in based on market capitalization all intertwine in the rest of the stock market. So if those companies are doing well, the rest of the market should be pulling behind it, so to speak, right? So you're thinking of like Apple, Amazon, like, you know, car companies, things of that nature. They rely on subsidiary companies in the stock market. So if Amazon is doing well, then chances are like a manufacturer or a supplier that has a stock ticker on the New York Stock Exchange is doing well as well, because Amazon uses multiple companies to support their business. So that's where you get the Dow 30 or, you know, USD 30 from. And what that allows you to do is say, if the market's moving up, that means people are buying into the stock market. So they're taking US dollars and moving it into the stock market, which in turn should make gold drop because people are leaving gold to go into the stock market. But in this case, we have both an indice, which is the stock market, like, you know, an index of the stock market, and gold moving in the same direction, which means that the correlation is off. So that's where, you know, my age old saying is someone's lying. And what Raja said too, he doesn't understand why gold is dropping as well. Someone's lying in this respect. And I think that is, you know, something that you have to be very cautious of. My long-term thought process is the US 30 will probably drop a lot. The reason being is we haven't seen the second wave of economic crisis after the pandemic. So right now we're in the first wave of economic crisis. So if you think of it from a wave perspective, we had the drop because everyone panicked about you know, like the coronavirus. We basically decided that we've got a handle on things and things are going to start back up. So that drove the market right back up. And now, once we have actual data to support what is happening after the crisis, I think that's where we see the secondary drop. Because once the stimulus money moves away or runs out, and once the people that are unemployed now don't get jobs anymore. They don't start spending in the economy. They don't spend money. The businesses that rely on consumer spending will drop, which will drop manufacturing, which will spiral. People will lose houses. Banks will start to call in mortgages, and that's the second wave of the crisis. Now, I mean, this is all speculative, but I mean, it does make sense. The other thing is, Warren Buffett moved a lot of his holdings to cash lately. So a lot of people laugh at Warren Buffett because he's an old dinosaur, but Warren Buffett knows a lot of things that we don't. If you're looking at analyzing your opponent and you're saying, well, you know, stocks are at a great price to buy right now, why isn't Warren Buffett buying? That might be a little bit of the smoking gun, so to speak, to say, hey, there's something else happening and he knows something that nobody else knows. But I mean, we all technically know, but we just don't know what he knows. But the reason why he's not buying, we don't know. But there is probably something to that effect. So that's where we have to sit back and evaluate as traders the overall economic conditions. My belief personally is the reason why Warren Buffett pulled out of the market is because he wants the market to collapse. So what he wants to do is he wants the market to collapse. He wants the market to restructure, and then he wants to buy into the restructuring, right? So look at it this way. He removed all his money from airline stocks. The reason why he did that, in my opinion, is because he knows that big airlines are going to fail. People aren't going to just jump on planes after this virus is done and start flying again. So that's going to affect resort towns, resort destinations, tourism, things of that nature. That's going to force airlines to restructure the way they do their business, whether it's reducing flights, reducing planes, reducing people, blah, blah, blah. The larger bloated companies will eventually fail, which will allow smaller companies that are leaner to take over the airline space. And that's where Warren Buffett will probably invest and have a majority share of those newer companies. And he'll control the next 10 or 15 years of airline travel, because we know, you know, just by looking at the way airlines work right now, the system is broken. Airline prices are, airlines haven't been, I guess, what's the word? They haven't been disturbed, or they haven't been adjusted in the way that we do things like other industries have. So they're the last ones that haven't been set up that way. So I think that's what he's waiting for. And I think when you see Warren make a move, you will have already seen these new airline companies emerge, and he'll probably be majority shareholder in a lot of them.
Yeah, that's what I was talking to somebody else too. Like all these, like some big companies will just collapse because they won't be able to handle this long term of no income. Um, I was talking to someone yesterday, and they were talking about how Air Canada, Air Canada may survive the longest because they have they had the largest income year last year. They also have a lot of like cash reserves, but like the same thing you said, right? Like people may not be more willing to jump on the planes when this pandemic kind of like, slows down a little bit. So it might affect bigger companies because they have more like what's the word? Cash
Exposure
burn.
liability.
Yeah, cash burn rate is more.
Yeah, their burn rate's longer, so they can
Yeah.
survive in that respect. And I think that that's the biggest thing. So it's going to be very interesting, because I originally wanted to get in airline stocks when it dipped, but then when I watched Warren sell off his airline stocks, I'm like, okay, this guy knows something. He's obviously not telling us what he knows, but there's something going on here. And when you listen to Richard Branson talk about Virgin, how they need help. There's other companies, because at the end of the day, all these large CEOs, these hedge fund guys, the big financial gurus, I guess you want to call them, they all have each other on speed dial. I wouldn't be surprised, and I know this for a fact because I used to participate in it, when they do industry roundtables, you meet with people from other companies in the same line of business. So, Warren Buffett's talking to hedge fund companies. They're all talking. They're not talking about what they're doing exactly, but I mean, if you want to talk about, maybe backroom manipulation or backroom ideas, I mean, if you watch the show Billions, it's a very representative take on that. People are doing things that we just don't know about because they can get away with it, right? And they are talking to each other. Don't ever mistake that you have two hedge fund companies that are sworn enemies, that the owners of those companies aren't talking to each other. It's the same thing, when you look at sports teams, right? You have owners of sports teams, they all talk to each other. They're competitive, they want their team to win, but don't get me wrong. Robert Kraft has everybody's owner in the NFL. He has them on speed dial. He can call them on their cell phone like he's calling his best friend. That's the way of the world. All large industries work that way. Chrysler works with GM. They compete in the same industry, but you better believe that the head of GM is talking to the head of Chrysler, talking about what's going on. The head of BMW is talking to the head of Porsche, things of that nature. Like that happens on a daily basis. And I think people need to understand that too. So if you're not really well versed with corporate or senior management or higher ups, everybody talks to everybody. They don't reveal corporate secrets, they don't reveal their secret sauce, but everybody's talking to everybody constantly. That's the way of the world. Because as much as you compete with people, it's nice to have allies, because essentially larger businesses now fight regulatory environments, right? They fight the government, because obviously it's always government versus capitalism, and so they have to band together in certain instances that change the way that the government does things, their taxations, things of that nature. So keep that in mind when in the back of your head when you're going through portfolios and you're looking at things. When things seem a little off, it's because they are. Like, don't second guess that. Like, don't think that, hey, why did Elon Musk talk about tanking his company? Because he knows that he'll get charged 20 or 30 million from the SEC, and then he'll buy back $1 billion in shares and make more than 20 million. Like, it's all calculated. Like, all these conversations, any earnings reports, any media clips from large, well-known investors or CEOs, those are all carefully groomed and carefully manipulated to make sure that they get the right information out to the general public. It's not off the cuff. It's not, oh, well, I'm happy for everybody. There's always a motive behind a major CEO going on TV. So if that's the one thing you can take away, anytime you see a CEO on TV, it's for their own benefit. It's not because they want to be there. Trust me, it's because they're doing something, because they know the power of media and they know how easily influenced people are.
Should we sell USD? Man, haven't you guys learned anything yet? Wow, man, crazy. Yeah, media has a lot of power. Media has a lot of influential power over the general public. That's so true. Would you ever do a challenge account? No. No, I tried, but then it made no sense to me, because why make less when you can make more? So it didn't make sense to me. Would you answer, please? What are the stop and TP? Oh, gone. How do you tackle your psychology when you started focusing on that, and how long did it take you to have mastery of difference? I think the difference was really understanding when price, because, like, okay, here's the thing. So I had a sell here, I had a sell here, and price came down to this area, and then we said, okay, well, it's that support, might want to secure position, put stops at break even, blah blah blah, whatnot. Some people held, and price started retracing. So when price starts to retrace, you need to really identify that, okay, now price is retracing, what are you going to do now? Are you going to keep stops at break even? Are you going to leave position open? If you're going to keep position open, are you taking some risk off in case it hits your stop loss? Because you have to understand, if you're letting price go in negative, you're letting price hitting your stops. And if price hits your stops, you should be completely okay with price hitting your stops. If you're not okay, then maybe you need to do some work on your mindset. Like someone asked that why did this candle went bullish, is because we came down to a support, so we didn't know whether price was going to continue down or not. There was a high probability price may continue down with the New York open volume, but there was still that little probability that price may bounce from this support. So that's where you secure position. So I secured over here. Some people didn't secure, and you paid the price.
They paid the price.
Yeah, man. I got 2 messages on Instagram. Hey, bro, why did this candle go up? I don't know.
Paid the price.
Yeah, you paid the price.
But why would you not put your stops in break even if you're up 9 to 10 pips? Or price came back all the way 9 pips to negative to break even? Like, that should show you that price is retracing, especially with a strong bullish candle.
Or you pay the price.
Yep. The price of admission.
Like this one really good question. It's not a good question. That's sarcasm. But the question is, do you have any videos on setting proper take profits and stops? I think if you rewatch this recap, I took the trade and then we explained where the stop is going to be. We explained where the take profit is going to be.
I think we do that for every trade, don't we, Raja?
Yeah, every trade we do that.
I think on like all 200 videos that are up there.
Every time. This is your take profit, this is your stop loss, and this is when price goes to break even, this is where you close.
With all the calamity in the economy, what is holding the markets up? Hope. Hope is holding the markets up.
Yeah, the government giving money to people in hopes they would spend it and the market's going to go back up.
The good thing about this is what they're doing is they're injecting so much money into the economy. So all these governments are printing so much money and putting it into the economy. By the time we see the effects of this money printing, those people that authorize the printing of the money will be dead. So essentially what's happening right now is every government official, obviously is probably, I would say, in their late 50s, early 60s, around there as an example, right? So they know for the next, they've got maybe 20 or 30 years left in their life. They know that the effects of these bailouts and these stimulus packages won't be really felt for the next 10 or 12 years. You'll find out later on that, inflation goes up and stuff of that nature, but they will have lived a good life. They'll probably pass on. They'll be in retirement. They get their checks and things of that nature. It's going to be the next generation that's going to have to deal with this. And that's the scary part, because what I've been trying to figure out is at what point do we stop printing money? Like we thought last year or the year before they couldn't print any more money. But this year we found all this new money. So I always hesitate to figure out, like, what's the breaking point? Because we can't print money forever, but it seems like we do. And I wish there was a crystal ball in some aspects, because if I know that the economy is basically going to go into hyperinflation in the next 10 years, I'd like to spend my money now. That's what I'd like to do. But I think there's a lot of information out there that supports the fact that we have printed way too much money around the world, and there has to be a change. People are talking about cryptocurrency and a new one world currency and all that other stuff. I'll talk about this, that I've talked about it before. You need government adoption. Bitcoin is not going to survive government adoption. Unfortunately, there are too many people with Bitcoin for the government to allow those people to be rich. If you got rich the first time with Bitcoin pumping from like 3,000 to 20,000, that's great, but you're not going to be able to have that same, wealth generation with that. The government will introduce their own cryptocurrency, their own digital currency, and the people that run the current Federal Reserve will be running the crypto Federal Reserve. I hate to burst a lot of people's bubbles, but you are never going to have a government allow its people to control the monetary policy ever again. It's too much of a calamity because essentially money runs the world, and if you allow people to have control over monetary governments, will not be able to run the world, and that's not good for what they need to do. Governments are there because there's a whole reason for their being in the government. Not all good, but they're never going to relinquish power. And that's probably going to be the biggest issue that we see with crypto, is we're going to have problems like that. But it's all good.
Oh man, banks open at 10 a.m. I thought they opened at 9. Gotta wait. Gotta wait for the signal. Wow, gold came down to 1690.
Yeah, let's see what happened in that range. 1689, it's been playing for a couple of days.
And US 30 just ran up like 60 points.
Yeah, I saw that. Oil did a nice drop.
So what's a big move on US 30? Like, is 100 points a big move?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
no,
a
no.
massive move. That's a massive
Well, but in the perspective, any given day, you can get at least 1,000 point move.
1,000
Yeah.
points.
Yeah,
Yeah,
1,000.
each point, like each time it ticks, that's like half a point, which is half of your lot size. So say for example, you're trading like one lot, every time it moves from like 23 to 24, it moves. That's like $1 basically.
So if this is 34 points, this means it's moved like $33.
It would be 330.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Shit.
Yeah.
No
If you go
wonder
to the
people
daily,
blow their
you're
shit
gonna-
up.
Yeah, that's why your stop loss will be 50 pips or more. Well, depending on
Damn.
your entry.
Okay, so that's why you guys are looking at US 30 on the 5-minute and like a smaller time frame.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, 5 minutes. Basically looking for sniper entries on 1 minute at some
Jesus.
key levels.
Yeah, I think people are new and they're trying to trade US 30. You guys are out of your goddamn minds, man. I mean, this is just.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, man.
Do that to yourself.
There's somebody that says here, it's why you're measuring in points. We're just talking about the actual denomination of the way the stock market moves. The stock market does move in points. That's the reason we're talking about, not percentage. Can you explain the drop on gold? Yep, there's a rally in the market. So that's the reason why things are happening the way they're happening. There's a rally, and people are looking to accept that rally.
There are high hopes, so they're moving money from gold to another stock.
Yep.
take a look at this chart. This is UJ. Waiting for bearish candle close to confirmation to retest the low. Makes sense. I think UJ is moving up. Stick. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Like if you have the 30-minute candle closing bearish here, you could potentially say, okay, it could come down to 106.080, 106.060. First time on this stream was recommended by Protein Paul. Hope to learn lots. Yes, Paul is my friend.
Oh, that's 4-wheeler.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Why are you using a green screen? Because I choose to use a green screen. What do you think about BTC? I think nothing about BTC. I have no idea about BTC. All I know is that BTC is not my cup of tea. Ooh, SP 500, nice. Price still bullish, hourly left awake and entered after candle close, monitoring close, nice. Yeah, I think now you should maybe monitor your stop loss here to kind of like bring it up a little bit more and maybe make it like more like less risky. Because once you're in profit, you shouldn't let it come down in negative. Some people are trying to sell GJ here. I would say a better place to sell GJ would be below 131,300 because I've had this writing from the beginning of the stream. Target once price breaks below 131,300 and it never really broke below 131,300. It stayed above 131,300. How can I set up my screen like yours? You need Zoom. You need Zoom and you need a nice house. So what you see over here, it's actually on Zoom. Zoom has this capability. How are you able to link your trading platform with a live YouTube session? I'm not. I don't. This I show so that it's easier for us to copy people's analysis, show their analysis, go through links and this and that. So it's basically for ease of use. Someone said look at 15-minute, that's totally fine because price is still ranging. This is in a 16, 17 pip range. I took a trade before when we expected to continue down. It didn't come down, so it's back in here now. So the new 4-hour candle has formed. There's a higher chance this 4-hour candle can come down to fill this wick, but then again, it will still be in that range. And my day is coming to an end here slowly as well. Are you from the UK? Do I sound British? If I sounded British, you could say from UK, but no, Canada. Yeah, all right, I'm gonna head off, everybody. Enjoy. Take care. Enjoy.
Okay, Raja.
Enjoy.
Take care, man.
Have fun, man.
Be safe.
You too. Take care.
You go to Walmart, be careful.
Yes.
Shukriya. Blessing everybody.
Yeah, shukriya, shukriya.